Good morning, happy holidays. First, in the coming days, Israel will submit a report to the Special Rapporteur, Dr. Alice Jill Edwards, Special Rapporteur on Torture. This report details the incomprehensible atrocities that the Israeli hostages have experienced and are still experiencing at the hands of Hamas. Unfortunately, from the beginning, the UN has attempted to ignore the horrors of October 7 and the plight of the hostages. We will not allow it to continue. We will continue to remind the UN and all member states of the hostages, the torture, the psychological torment, sexual abuse, and the starvation they endure in Hamas captivity. Less than 2 weeks ago, I received news that left me shaken. A ballistic missile launched by the Houthis struck the school I attended as a child in the city of Ramat Gan, a place where my earliest memories were formed, my own school, my own hometown. You can look at this image over here. You can see the school in Ramat Gan, how it looks today after a ballistic missile targeted hit the school. And I want to ask you, what would you do if this were your school, if this was where your children learned? Since then, the Houthis have unleashed an unrelenting bombardment of ballistic missiles on Israeli cities, targeting our population centers. Millions of Israelis are waking up every night to the sounds of sirens almost every night. I will ask the Security Council, what would you do if this were your children, your neighborhood, your city? Let me make one thing absolutely clear. We have had enough. Israel will not stand by, waiting for the world to act. We will defend our citizens, no matter how far the threat. For those who remain silent when our schools and playgrounds are attacked, do not call for de-escalation when we respond. Do not equate those who launch missiles to murder with those who protect their people. And also, we will not expect much from the UN, but the calls for restraint will not be accepted. Israel will defend its people. If 2,000 kilometers is not enough to separate our children from the terror, let me assure you, it will not be enough to protect their terror from our strengths. And for conclusion, I'm saying to the leadership of the Houthis, I have a message for you today. Perhaps you have not been paying attention to the lessons of this past year. Let me remind you what happened to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to Assad, and to all those who sought to destroy us. This is not a threat. It is a promise. You will share the same miserable fate. Thank you.
Ambassador Xu Dezhu with China Central Television. Actually, I have a couple of questions, so please bear with me. First, obviously, the IDF launched retaliation on several targets in Yemen on Houthis' attack. Many of them are UN-designated civilian use facilities, for example, Hodeidah ports, as well as the Sana'a International Airport. Do you consider this action an eye for eye because they struck the school?
Well, first, we have no conflict with Yemen. I will share it with the Council later on. There's 2,500 kilometers between Yemen and Israel. No borders, no disputes. So we have no intention to attack Yemen or target in Yemen. But we will retaliate, and we will know that, for example, the port of Hodeidah, we know that it's being used to deliver weapons and ballistic missiles from Iran into Yemen.
Which means UN said is false.
So I will share it with the Council today, the information we have about what they are doing in those ports, and unfortunately, stuff that's coming there is not being checked.
Okay. Secondly, we know that Dr. Tedros of WHO was actually in Sana'a International Airport. Do you guys have any further communications or explanations with WHO?
You know, we have no control of who is where. You know, for sure, you know that we have no intention to harm any UN or NGOs. On the contrary, when we can, we coordinate it. You know, when we acted in Lebanon, in Gaza. But if people who are now in areas where the Houthis are, where they are holding ballistic missiles, they should be careful, because we will not sit idly by when they are attacking. You know, this is my school. This is my hometown. We will not just wait for the next missile to come.
So one last question. Since you just mentioned about the hostages, I remember like a week ago you were here, you said hopefully the ceasefire and releasing of hostage deal could be struck before Hanukkah, before Christmas, but today we didn't see that. What is the reason? Who is coordinating it?
So unfortunately, you know, we are dealing with a terrorist organization, and every time they come with new demands, and we are willing to pay prices to release more hostages, to bring them back home. We are aware of the conditions that they are being held, but unfortunately, every time they come with new demands. So the blame is on Hamas. And you cannot ask them, they're not here, but you can ask the negotiators. You know, maybe you will not believe me, but you will ask the Egyptians, the Qataris, the Americans, and they will tell you who is to be blamed.
So Ambassador Mariam Ramadi with Iran International News Channel. Do you think the Houthi attacks on Israel increase the risk of a direct war with the Islamic Republic of Iran and Israel? Because as you said, the proxies are now in the region, were moved by Israel. What happened in Syria, what happened in Lebanon, and what is happening in Gaza Strip. Do you think what is happening in Yemen right now could result in a direct war between Iran and Israel?
So we are a peaceful nation, and I've been speaking directly to the Iranian people, and we know that the Iranian people are also a peaceful nation, but the regime, they spend billions of dollars on proxies, and they send millions of weapons, worth of weapons to the Houthis, while the people in Iran don't have electricity, they don't have heat in the winter. So we hope, you know, it will continue to be peaceful, but at the same time, we are preparing for all scenarios, and we will not accept the situation where proxies are attacking us. And I would say it also to the Iranian leadership, we have shown our capabilities. We have the ability to strike every target in the Middle East, including Iran.